morning.
Good morning.
So, she gave me a great introduction, and I definitely appreciate everything she said. Sometimes I feel like it's somebody else they're talking about and not myself. So, yeah, I always try to keep that in mind. Now, today, of course, is about inclusion. And I want to talk to you about the power of inclusion and how we must keep in mind that every child deserves a win. That's something we've got to remember. So, to give you a little bit about our journey, she shared a little bit. I worked in education for 27 years as a biology teacher and as a school counselor. I worked on all levels. I am a wife and a mother of two, 24-year-old and a 23-year-old. My daughter's now 23. I still can't believe that. And with this journey, it all changed with one simple statement. One of our friends said, "I think Kendall has a hearing problem." And that statement changed our life. It changed our life because before the age of 2, Kendall received an autism diagnosis. So here we were with 2 children, 14 months apart. No, that was not the plan. That was not the plan. And we had this life planned in our mind. They were so close in age. They were going to be in school together. We even had the date that they would both leave our home and we could take a travel around the world. But that was our plan. And it didn't work out that way. So things changed. And when I keep in mind and I think about inclusion, remember this about inclusion. Our word for today is going to be win. So I need you to keep that in mind. The word I'm going to mention is win. And always remember, every win is different. So when we think about inclusion, it's a feeling. It's not just a word. It's easy to say we've included someone, but it's all about how are they feeling. Do they have the feeling that they belong? So, I'm going to share a story with you. In, what year was that? 2007, my family and I, we moved. We moved very strategically. We moved to a home because we wanted our kids to attend a certain school. So that was our plan. We were now going to have them together at one school. That was our plan. So, here's a story about the Cinderella, our Cinderella moment. Bear with me. We had just moved in this home. We were there maybe 2 months. We, of course, expected it to be a smooth transition. Kendall had actually been in school since she was 3. And we were so excited once again because the kids would both be at one school. So, one day as I'm driving to work, I get a call, and with the call, they tell me Kendall's had an accident. Kind of shocking because we were past that stage, but no problem. Turned around and headed to the school. When I got to the school, there were 2 parent volunteers working at the door. They asked me what was I there for, and they said, "Oh, are you here for the little girl in the Cinderella dress?" Of course, my thought was, no, I'm going to see the nurse. So I proceeded, I went in to see the nurse, and her statement changed how we then had to move forward as a voice for inclusion for Kendall and to be an advocate. Now, clutch your pearls when I tell you what was said to me. It was all from the heart, and I took it as it was meant to be. It was a genuine message that I needed to hear because we thought everything was fine. She leaned in really close to me and said, "Your baby is running amuck around this building." I wasn't even offended. I just stopped and said, "My baby? My Kendall?" And she's like, "Yes, your baby." And I just was overwhelmed because I was in shock. Not that I was not mad at her, I must say that. Because remember, our word for today is win. And as I'm dealing with my shock of my baby is running amuck around this building, I see a little girl running down the hallway in a Cinderella dress with no shoes on and administration chasing her down the hallway. So yes, that was my daughter in the Cinderella dress. As soon as she passed me, we locked eyes and she immediately stopped. Now, if you remember, I said she had been in school since she was 3. She understood how the school day worked. She understood sitting in the cafeteria, sitting in the class, walking in the line. But here we were, she was the Cinderella dress girl running around the building. So, remember I said, our word for today is win. Now, at that very moment, that first win for us was, what's important now? At that moment, of course, I called in. I told them I would be late. I didn't even know if I was going to make it in. But I had to deal with what was going on at that moment because it changed what we then had to do. We had to become her advocates. And because she was running and causing chaos in the building, they were so concerned about the behaviors that they were at the point of saying, maybe she does not belong here. Now, if you remember, we had just moved so that we could have both children at one school. So, yes, we had to become her voice. And in all of those meetings, we had to then move to our next win. And that next win was, I had to get them to realize we've got to welcome inclusion. We've got to be inspired to collaborate together. And I needed them to work with us as we navigated these challenging behaviors. So, in doing so, I always come back to, we've got to remember, every child and their family deserves a win. Now, when I say that, that win may not look the same. So, the win for us here was, Kendall remained at that elementary school. She moved into a classroom of 6. The students were second graders, and she was a kindergartner, and she was the only girl. So the win may not always look the same, but we've got to be ready with the win to think outside the box. So that change provided her with everything she needed, that sensory support.